This is a WKYT podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Conversations with Victor and Andrea. Andrea, how's it going?
It's good. I came in underprepared, per usual.
Yeah, I expect nothing, and I'm still disappointed.
I know. But you expect nothing less as well.
So we're recording this a few days after Christmas.
Yes, I had a good Christmas. Did you?
I had a great one.
How was little Vera?
She was overwhelmed.
Was she?
Yeah, here, I will, well, I don't think I've actually showed you this, and I will play it. Even the audio is kind of funny, because we walk her in, and you expect her to be all excited. Instead, she's very concerned. Like, why are there toys here? What happened? It's just her going, I don't... She's like...
What is it? What do you see?
Where am I?
And she's saying house because we got her this like little princess castle.
So she's crying tears of joy? Is that what I'm hearing?
No,
No.
she's kind of just overwhelmed. Like everything changed overnight.
Oh, baby.
Excited?
It's a lot for a little
It's
kid.
okay. Look. Feel it?
So
I've cried on the holidays too for totally different reasons.
yeah, so that's the thing. So we realized, oh well, maybe next year we'll let her wake up a little bit, and we'll keep her,
Yeah.
in the other room, because that was the other thing. We wanted to get video of her walking in and seeing all the toys, but instead it was just, why did everything change?
Next year
I don't
she
like
may be
this.
waking you up because she's more excited
Yeah.
and understands it better. I'm not real good, as I've said many times, at gauging like childhood development and like knowing like whether a 4-year-old understands what's going on or a 2-year-old.
Yeah,
like, I
or
don't
when
know.
she was 7 months old, letting her play with your earrings, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, choking hazard.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But once she woke up fully, she
Loved
really
it.
enjoyed it. Yeah, she loved it. Although it was funny because we got her a little princess castle. It's basically like a tent, and then a kitchen set and kids' toys. And so, but the thing she started playing with the most was last year I'd got Mandy a bright light, or light bright. Sorry, a light bright. And but it's one of the newer ones that runs off batteries and the pegs are different and stuff. And so Mandy just set that up and spelled out Vera's name in it as it's kind of like a little accoutrement. And then, but Vera was suddenly obsessed with that, and so she spent a few hours just taking the
bet
pegs
Mandy
and
was
replaying.
proud.
She was kind of happy.
Old school gifts.
But yeah,
I love it.
Christmas was great. How about you? What all did you get into for Christmas?
It was really good. Mostly I got money,
All right, there
which
you
is
go.
exactly what I asked for.
It's a gift card you can spend it anywhere.
Exactly. Well, there was one funny thing. So there was one year that my mom put in a box of baking soda in one of our gifts. I don't remember who got the baking
Why?
soda. Because she wanted to throw us off with the weight. It was like a really light present, and she knows
gotcha.
that me and Matt are going to like shake it and try to guess what it is because we're children. But that was only like 2 years ago, by the way. So we were way too old to be doing this.
Yes.
But
wow.
it was funny because after everything was over, we were laughing about the baking soda, and my brother was like, "Can I have it?" And I was like,
baking
"No,
soda?
I need it." And Mom's like, "No, I'm keeping it. That's my baking soda. This
you
was
were like,
just
no,
for weight."
this is
So
my gift. I need baking soda
Yes.
for my fridge.
we all literally fought over the baking soda, which was the most random thing of all the gifts we opened. And then this year, my mom literally wrapped up baking soda for both
everybody.
my brother and I. It was so sweet.
That's
So I
funny.
loved it.
That is funny.
Yeah.
The sweetest thing I got was earlier this year at Vera's old daycare. They bring in a photographer to take pictures of the kids, which they then sell you. And
Of course.
Vera's picture, and I put a picture on Facebook and Twitter so you can see it. Her picture, she just looks very sad and kind of like they have her in pearls and some sort of head wrap. Like I said, she looked like somebody out of Oliver Twist. She's kind of just like
Bless her.
and just
Lisa.
confused. And I had always joked about buying some of those pictures, but I never did. But then Mandy got me a mouse pad with that picture on
Oh,
it.
that's
So if you go to my
awesome.
desk right now, there's this little sad picture of Vera just looking confused. But I love it. I just
Well,
like her
my
cute little
brother,
face.
he has droopy eyes. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And like, I remember we went to Kings Island and we got our caricatures
Yeah.
done. They drew us. And poor Matt looked like a little homeless, like
Aw.
abandoned child, orphan boy. Because like, he like accentuated his droopy eyes and he looked so sad. We were just like, Mom, I thought it was hilarious. And we still have that picture because it was just so funny.
That's pretty funny. Did you listen to last week's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, where they talked about the the guy who robbed a caricature artist.
Yes,
but only
and
after.
left his picture.
Yeah, so they had a picture of him that the caricature artist had done, and it's like,
Police
okay.
are looking for a man with a huge head,
Yeah, so
tiny body.
oh, sorry.
I love that show.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. So all right, well, holidays going well. I was actually off on Christmas. Were you as well?
Yes, thankfully that we are very blessed. I know a few people did have to work, and I always think of those people. And shout out to our general manager Jeff Anderson, because not only did he come in on Christmas Eve wearing a Santa Claus coat, he also came in on Christmas Day and brought food to everybody who had
Really?
to work on Christmas. And I was like, that's a
I didn't
good
know
leader
that, but
right there.
There you go. That is a good. That's the
Yes.
kind of leader that makes people want to be like, oh, okay, all right, I want to be
It
here
makes
as well.
you want to do better.
If you're willing
So,
to do what the other people are.
Thank
Yeah.
you to Jeff. And that's not me sucking up. I truly do believe that's something that, people in leadership positions need to do more of, is, kind of have empathy for the people that work for you and put yourself in their shoes sometimes. And he does that really well.
And yeah, set that example. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, our podcast today, no guest. We are going to talk. We're doing a top 10 of 2019.
Yes, 5 each.
Which I was well prepared for, and Andrea has just compiled her list.
And guess what? It took me about 5 minutes, and it's actually a really good list, and it made me happy to go. I was looking on Facebook through my pictures because I was like, what happened this year? Because I've told you I have no gauge whatsoever on dates. And
Yeah.
whether it happened 4 minutes ago or 4 years ago, it's all the same in my jumbled up mind. So I had to kind of look back, refresh my memory a bit, but I'm pleasantly, I had a good year.
Yeah. You have had a good year.
Yeah.
Putting my list together was fairly easy. I had some highlights. Honorable mentions, I guess, would be any of our food-related podcasts. I enjoyed those.
Yes. Honestly, I
drafts.
thought about that too.
And then my friend Benito, when he came in, I've enjoyed both of his
know.
appearances.
He's so cool.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to listen to the Christmas one yet?
I haven't yet. It's on my
It's
my
on your
feed.
to-do list. I'm sure you'll
Yes.
get to it. Miranda did a great job. And
She's always entertaining.
yeah, Christmas all around the world. So those are some honorable mentions of some of the fun podcasts we did. Andrew, would you like to start?
Sure. Okay. So my first one is actually one that you knew was going to be on my list, and that's my Alaskan cruise.
Yes.
So
Which got its own podcast.
Oh yeah, because it was an adventure per usual. Anytime I go somewhere, crazy stuff happens. So it just follows me whether I'm in Kentucky or abroad. But Alaska was so beautiful, and honestly, outside of that, probably the best part of the trip was the group that I went with. It was a holiday vacation through WKYT, so it was viewers from the area, and they truly watched the show because they were telling me things that they couldn't know unless they'd seen it. You know, it's not just things you can look up on the
interactions
internet.
with Bill and Jim and stuff. Yeah.
They were all so sweet. And like I said, my mom got really sick during the Alaskan cruise. She's never going again. She's already said, I'm never leaving my little hut in the woods again with my 7 animals.
This is why I don't go outside.
My 5 dogs and 2 cats. She's just a homebody, and I kind of forced her to go and felt really bad when she got sick on the trip. But everyone on the trip, all of the other people, like kind of stood in as like parent figures for me, and they took care of me. It was supposed to be the other way around, but they were wonderful. And we've even gotten together with that group later in the year when our tour director came back, and she actually hosted the tour that Amber did this year as well. And she said, hey, I'm going to be in town. So we all got together, and almost everyone showed up.
Awesome.
Which I never, I've done another one, a different trip to Ireland, and that group was great as well, but just they didn't click
Kinda
like
went
this
their own
one.
ways, yeah.
This one just had some magic in it. So that was definitely one of my big highlights of the year, and just developing those relationships, because they still message me. They comment on all my pictures, and we talk to each other and laugh, because, when you're on vacation, those are things that other people can't relate to.
I was going to say,
have
you
those
all went through
experiences.
something
Yeah.
together that nobody else really knows. So, yeah.
So Alaska, and really my Alaskan group, my crew, I love them so much. So that was definitely one of my highlights.
Awesome. Well, mine is much less sentimental. It is the $1 quesadilla at Taco Bell.
Oh my gosh.
They improved it this year. It used to be this tiny little crappy piece of tortilla in some aluminum foil, but at some point in the year, they decided to upgrade to like
Did
a
they
full-size tortilla, and now it's just this awesome item for $1. I usually add some pico to it. That's the secret. You can customize
Yes.
stuff however you want. So I can get that. I get that in a bean burrito. It's like $2.80, and I'm full. That's a full meal.
Very nice. And honestly, as a frugal frugal lady.
That's there are days when I'm like, yep.
Well,
let's
there's
spend
no
$3
dollar
on a
menu
meal.
anywhere.
Well,
On
there's-
it. I
there's
mean,
a Taco Bell.
yes.
And Taco Bell next year they're bringing like 20 more items to their dollar menu.
And I'm sure they will thrive because of it. Like,
Because it doesn't cost much to make.
Well, I mean, you can't go to a fast food restaurant without paying a bunch of money now.
Yeah.
Like,
It's all $8 or $9 a meal.
now
And
I'm
that's
not dogging Zaxby's because it's like my favorite
delicious,
place, but
but
it's expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like you think that you're, saving money.
Yeah,
just
suddenly you get
running...
a meal and a drink and it's $10 and it's like, well,
yeah, I'm
all
like,
right.
oh my gosh. So yes, thank you Taco Bell for keeping alive the value meal.
Yes, so the $1 quesadilla from Taco Bell, go out and try it. Add some pico. It makes it like $1.30, but it's worth it.
Love that.
That's my number 5.
Worth that 30 cents. All right, so my second favorite thing this year is something that I should have discovered long ago because it's in my hometown and literally right across the street from where I grew up, the home I grew up in. But the Jessamine Creek Gorge was hidden away back there, and I think it was private property at the time, which is why we never even knew it existed. But it is such a beautiful area, and there's a waterfall there that is just spectacular that it took me 2 times to find it. And I had to follow a guy and his dog one time, but I did find it, and it's just spectacular, and it's good to remember that we live in such a pretty state. That's something you and I talk about all the time, and just how you don't really, especially people without money, because we know all about it, but you don't have to go
Going for
far.
a nice hike, doesn't cost any money, and it's just a great way to
good
spend
for
a day.
ya.
I have never been. I'm going to have to get the directions from you so I can figure it out
Beautiful.
because, yeah, I love a good hike, and growing up in Powell County, that was one of the things we were blessed with. So
It's a hidden treasure because a lot of people just it's kind of new, I guess. It's like newly open to the public, so it's wonderful. Just love it. So that made the list as well.
awesome. My number 4 thing, and actually these are all just kind of
Mine too.
It's not
I have
in
no
order.
order.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't really have an order. The second thing I'll talk about is a moment from a movie, from Avengers Endgame, which
Spoiler?
was probably if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame by now,
It's your own fault.
it's your own fault. I know you haven't, but that's
okay.
the thing. We both have Disney Plus now.
Yes.
You'll be making your way through the Marvel movies.
Thank you, Verizon.
I'll be quizzing them. I'll be quizzing you about them. Maybe not. But I think Endgame is probably my favorite movie this year.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, and so it stuck the landing. So, and no spoiler talk for the new Star Wars, but I enjoyed it. But I think as far as finishing something up, I felt like Endgame did it better.
Well, that's fair.
So, but there's a moment in Avengers Endgame. I don't know if you remember when I told you about all those Marvel movies. There's a whole thing about like nobody else could pick up Thor's hammer. Mm-hmm. Like everybody there was like haha, like nobody else could do it because he was the only one who was worthy. Well, over the course of this movie, because there's some time travel stuff. Again, spoilers for Endgame, but you've had plenty of time, and if you have Disney Plus, you'll be all right. As a result, he has a new weapon, which is this like big axe. But he goes because Mjolnir got destroyed during the events of Ragnarok. But he goes back in time and gets his hammer back. So when he comes back, he has both the hammer and this awesome axe. And so there's this fight with Thanos where it's Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America, and they're all fighting, and Thanos knocks Iron Man down, and then he knocks Captain America aside. Then he's got Thor, and he's got his own axe, and he's getting ready to kill Thor with it. Like he's pushing him down, and all of a sudden you just see Thor's hammer. You just see it lift from the ground, but you don't see what's going on with it. You just see it kind of come up, and you think like Thor's calling it to him or something. And then it hits Thanos in the back of the head and goes flying back, and it comes to Captain America.
And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, and you realize that he's been the one. He lifts it up, and Thor looks at him. He's like, I knew it, because he's like, I knew that he was worthy of it.
Aww.
And then Captain America uses the hammer to beat up on Thanos, and the movie goes on for another hour after
I
that.
remember you talking about this part, or maybe I think you mentioned a part where it just like moved a little bit.
Yeah,
when Captain America
when he picked
looked
it up,
at
kind
it
of
or
wiggled
something.
a little bit, and Thor got kind of worried. That was in Age of Ultron. But in this movie, he literally picks it up, and he's just slinging lightning around, and it was just this awesome moment because it's like, he is.
Of course he's worthy.
Of course he's worthy.
Captain
It's
America.
Captain America. And so, yeah, I don't think you should watch. You don't need to go watch all of them, but you should go watch Infinity War and Endgame. It's very good.
That's fair.
Very good two-part
That is fair.
type thing. But yeah,
So-
that moment, that was probably my favorite thing from the movies this year. I mean, I a lot of good movies I enjoyed this year, but just that
like
moment of. And here's the thing. I don't know if everybody in the theater knew, but as soon as I saw it lift up, I knew it was Captain America picking it up, and I got really excited.
Well, I love that you not only pinpointed a movie, but also a particular moment in a particular
moment from a movie.
I love that. So I think the only thing that made me that excited this year was Backstreet Boys.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Did we have a whole podcast about this?
I don't think we had a full podcast about it. I think we just kind of talked about how we were going leading up to it, and then
Right. All the anticipation, totally worth it.
totally worth it. Yeah.
Oh, it was so amazing. It took me back to a simpler time when that was just all it took to make me happy in this world was Kevin, AJ, Brian, Howie, and Nick.
I love that your boyfriend's first introduction to me was getting to watch me
Jam out.
fanboy out over the Backstreet Boys. Yeah.
Oh, he liked it. He just pretended.
He did.
Like
he had a good
guy.
time.
Come on
and that was
now.
nice of him to come and enjoy that with us. I think Mandy was a little embarrassed.
Why? Of
No,
you?
I just like, okay. You all made fun of me for liking AJ.
Well, no, we didn't make fun of you. It was just you're the first I've ever met that was their favorite. Like I said, we're from Kentucky, so everybody likes Brian and Kevin, and Nick was just kind of the, oh, he's so cute. But
Although, and I think we talked about this on the podcast in the few days after, like Nick.
no, you said Howie was your favorite.
That's what I meant. Howie's my
Yeah,
favorite. Yeah,
AJ,
sorry.
I always loved AJ
AJ's
too.
Mandy's favorite, I think.
And I like Howie too. Don't get me wrong, I love them all. But
That's what I meant, Howie.
Bless
Yeah,
him.
although in the days after the concert, Nick filed a restraining order against his brother.
oh, I know Aaron Carter lost his mind.
So that was
But I think he's been a little off the wall for a while.
out there for a while. Aaron's party, come and get it.
Oh. Oh my gosh, his How I Beat Shaq. My brother and I knew every word to that song. Oh my gosh, it was so good.
So anyway, so that concert, yeah, it was fun. It was a good night.
Yes.
Andrea was already eating by the time we got there, so our plan to have food beforehand didn't really
I
work out.
didn't know. We didn't have any plan. Let's set the record straight. But then I also left my salad bowl in
Yeah.
his car and stunk it up. I
At
forgot. I
some
didn't
point,
know.
yeah, I was like, "There's a weird smell in my car," and I finally I found a Dairy Queen salad bowl stuck beneath my driver's seat,
Oh.
and it somehow got stuck in there and so that was what was stinking it up.
We also mentioned how I picked a sketchy hotel for us to stay in.
Yes.
Well, guess what? Topped it. Mr. X got a worse hotel
Where? How?
in Miami. It was disgusting.
Because it was just like a one night stay for your layover for the cruise.
For the cruise. And
That's even worse then, because if you're only staying there one night, why not get something nice?
well, we were going to stay for 2 nights. And it was still over $100 a night.
But that's Miami. I mean, you got to
And
expect
it was
it's
a
going to be
roach
expensive.
motel, and I say roach motel, they earned it because there was a roach in the bathroom,
Oh my
hair in the sink, cobwebs on the ceiling. The floor clearly hadn't been vacuumed in years.
You don't have to stay there. You know, when you check in, you're like, if it's awful, you can be like, I just want my money back. And go
I
find
know. I'm
someplace
really
else.
upset with myself that I didn't throw a fit, but like I think, having worked in the restaurant industry for so long, I just can't complain because I know it's not their fault. But within 10 minutes, Mr. X had already booked another hotel for the next night.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was pretty gross. And it was like the same price 100 times nicer.
Wow.
But that's what happened when we let him book it. So I felt vindicated.
A little bit of vindication
Oh,
there. All right. So
yes.
the Backstreet Boys.
The Louisville place, a palace in comparison.
That's funny.
And much cheaper.
All right. Great. My third item of 2019 is a board game.
Shocker.
I know you're surprised about it, but it's something I feel like, it's got a lot of exposure outside of the board game world because of the
Ooh.
story around it and the designer. This lady named Elizabeth Hargraves designed a board game about birds
Okay.
called Wingspan. And the company that made it, before that previously, I think it's one guy, it's called Stonemeyer Games, and they'd only produced his own board games. Like he would design them and make them. And something about that design he liked a lot, so it was the first game they'd made outside.
What an honor.
And it really was. And so the game essentially sells out, and then they have to start doing multiple printings because they can't keep it in stock. There's still people looking for it who can't find
Little
copies.
bird that could.
Exactly. And so it's kind of blown up. It's like all the birding societies around the world have started buying it and playing it stuff because the art is beautiful. This artist did individual art for each of the birds, and the gameplay is just really, really good. You have this field where you have like a forest and a meadow and water, and so then you put like your water birds in the water, and then your forest up here,
cute.
and you kind of they all do different things. Yeah, it's called Wingspan. I've seen it at Half Price Books and some other places, but it kind of depends. It comes and goes.
Yeah.
It won the Spiel des Jahres, the German award for Board Game of the Year.
Whoa.
Germans take their board games very seriously. A lot of people don't know this,
They
but
take everything very seriously.
But and so you think
I'm
of
kidding.
going to the movies and stuff around here, just how popular an activity that is. That's in Germany, like board games is something families do. Like every family plays
I
board
love
games
that.
together. It's just the largest board gaming convention in the world takes place over there. It's called it's at Essen. It's like the Spiel at Essen. But so it's I don't know if it's the first game she's designed. I think it was the first game of hers that was published. And so she made this game, and now it blew up, and it's just a nice, pretty little thing. It's a very serene thing. You just play, and you're
That's
putting your
cool.
birds down, and they're it comes with these little egg tokens that you put on the birds, and
Cute.
it's very pretty.
I will
So
say,
Wingspan.
the most passionate I've ever seen my mother get about something was when Wes Chessman proposed a bird blind for the
Oh.
middle school. She thought that was the greatest idea of all time. Was like, head of the committee to get this bird blind built. Like, it was so random. I loved it. It was a great idea, but it was interesting how seriously she took it. So that kind of reminds me of that. So something about birds just gets people excited.
All right.
It gets the people going.
All right, Andrea, what's next on your list?
All right, let me consult my list. Okay, Spoon Bread Festival.
Oh, in Berea?
In Berea, yes. My brother lives in Berea. He graduated from Berea College, which is one of the greatest establishments ever, by the way. If you don't know, Berea helps kids who are a little financially tight, don't have a whole lot of money.
Well, essentially, you don't
But
have
are
to pay if you go
intelligent.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get in, then you work. They give
Mm-hmm.
you a job, you work, and then you don't have to pay, which is awesome. And I've seen national stories about Berea and just how
Awesome. Like I said, my brother could have gone anywhere because of his ACT score. He's so smart. But he chose Berea, and we're like, the greatest decision he ever made. We just love that place so much. But the Spoon Bread Festival is adorable in itself. But my brother this year won the spoon bread eating contest.
I'm so proud of him.
Yes. And there is a video of me screeching for him to finish because there was a point where he was wanting to quit, and me being all up in everyone's grill during the competition because the guy that was running it watches the show, and he was like, "Hi, Andrea." So I took full advantage and was just, gauging the competition. And I was like, "You have to keep going." I was like, "You're winning." I was like, "You've got this." He's like, "You can't quit." And he won. And it was so funny because he had competed before and he ended up getting third place. But he swears that he should have got second, and they just didn't see his hand went up before the other guy. So he came in with a vengeance. And I think his goal was just to get second.
And left with a belly full of bread.
And he ended up winning the whole
How
thing.
much spoon bread was it?
Oh, it was a big,
Good size
yeah.
platter? Oh.
Like a round tin?
Yeah.
It was about that size.
Oh, that's so heavy.
And here's the issue. They were late getting the spoon bread because it was freshly made.
Yeah, say they had to cook it.
Yeah, at Boone Tavern, of
Yeah,
course.
of course.
And it was so hot. I think the reason my brother won, and I don't
He
think
got
this
his
was even on
first
purpose.
and
No.
so cold some?
He, took this very seriously. He poured water in his to kind of make it more like mush. See, no one else did that, and it was too hot for them to eat. So the water made his cooler, so he was just chowing down. They actually took a break in the middle, and I was like, "What is this? There are no breaks in a eating contest."
This is Sparta.
I know. I was like, no.
I won an ice cream eating contest when I was in
Ooh.
middle school.
I thought that was painful.
Well, it was, but so essentially it was the little square bricks of ice cream.
Yeah.
They cut them in half, and that's what each person got a half, and you had to eat that half. But I was the first person to sit down, and so it was in the middle of July, they had like the summer festival when we lived in Tennessee. So they put my block down first.
And it melted.
So it got so by the time everybody else got down, so mine had a little bit of time to get softer, and I think that definitely helps. So as soon as they said go, I just started, slurping it up.
I
Yeah.
love it. But yeah, that was so much fun. I was too competitive.
And you got to cheer them
I
on.
kind of embarrassed myself, but we made the paper as well, so I was very proud.
All right. Is that your fourth thing? Or your
I think
third?
that was my
can't remember.
fourth.
Fourth. All right. My fourth thing is also, I just wrote down concerts, plural, because
Okay, yeah.
Mandy and I went to although Andrew and I did go to a concert when we all went to the Backstreet Boys. Mandy and I went to multiple concerts this year.
Phil Collins.
That was kind of our thing. We're like, all right, this is the year. There were a bunch of people that we wanted to see that all happened to come around. And so we saw Phil Collins, we saw the Backstreet Boys, we saw David Gray. Mm-hmm. And it was really nice. I mean, we took... Good year. Yeah, we spent, kind of this year spending our money on experiences.
Yeah, I bought concert tickets for Mr. X for Christmas, and they weren't cheap.
And that's the thing. And it wasn't cheap. And like when we spent the night in Louisville for David Gray, and that was awesome. And it was nice. It was things that we experienced together, bucket list type stuff, especially with David Gray and.
Well, when you spend that much money,
Phil Collins.
Like this is something you really want to do, and in a way, it's worth it. Like I had the best time. Like those tickets weren't cheap for the Backstreet, but I had the best time though, and I'm like, that was money well spent. Like I could have spent this on like more clothes or something silly, like but I spent it on this, and it was so worth it.
That is a memory that you will have forever.
Yes, I loved it. Oh, I loved it.
So that was my thing. Just one of my favorite things of 2019, just the concerts that I went to, and I think if you have someone that you really enjoy, someone that you do it, because you never know how much longer they may tour, how much longer they may not, or when they'll be back around in the area. And I will say, Rupp Arena, they've got a new partnership that started, I think, 2 years ago. So they've started getting
great people.
Bigger names, and so a lot more
the
people.
Biebs.
Yeah.
The Biebs is coming.
The Bieber's coming. So that was my number thing. It was also the concerts. Just like seeing Phil Collins was
that's a good one.
Pretty amazing.
You cheated, but that's a good one.
How did I cheat?
You put a bunch in.
Bundled multiple things together.
I'm just kidding. That's a good one. I think that's fair.
There we go.
That's your shish kebab.
That's my shish kebab.
That's your shish kebab moment. Okay, my final thing is that this was a big year for me. I turned 30 this year.
My goodness.
And Kelsey Mattingly, a perennial podcast guest, she actually, she and Mr. X planned a surprise party for me that I truly had no idea about. And my family was there, everyone was there, and it was just so sweet to have people that I love and that love me in the same room just celebrating me, which was kind of awkward, but I bawled the whole night. So I happy cry.
Yeah.
I mad cry, I happy cry.
You just cry.
It's all happened this year too. I'm like, what is this? I didn't used to ever cry. Yeah. Now I cry at everything. I don't understand what's happened to me. I've just gotten super, taste buds changed. Something changed with me. My tear ducts are evolving.
That's
and
funny.
But yeah, that was just a really sweet moment, something I will never forget, because no one's ever thrown me a surprise party before. You know what I mean? So I just felt very special and very thankful for my friends and family, even though you didn't get to make it.
I had a very good excuse.
Oh, you did. And I didn't even know about it, so I couldn't get mad at you.
I don't even remember exactly what my excuse was.
Well, it's very last minute. Well, so a lot of people already had plans that night, and it was on a weekend.
Yeah, it was like, I actually think it might have been the David Gray concert.
I think it might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But a few people who I would have wanted to see there, they weren't able to make it, which was no big deal because it was still.
It's all right, because you already know how much we all love you.
Yes, but I like to see it.
I like tangible proof. I
like it when people tell me how great I am.
That's fair.
I'm kidding.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad it's been a good year for you.
But yeah, I was like, hey, for someone who didn't have anything coming in here, I was like, I had some good stuff. Yeah. So I'm great. I had a good year.
My last one is one of the favorite stories that I talked about this year. Casper the Camel.
What?
You don't remember Casper the Camel?
No.
He is the camel at the Tiger truck stop in Georgia, where a woman took her dog. She proceeded to, I guess her dog got past his fence, so she went into Casper's enclosure to get her dog. At some point, Casper sat on her.
He sitted on her.
He sat on her, and to get him off of her, she bit his testicles. And that's the only way she could get the camel to stand up.
This is coming back to me now.
And so, yes.
It's all coming back
we did
to
it.
me
We did
now.
it 2 different times. Once I was anchoring with Amber, and once I was anchoring with Barb. The first time, was obviously a bit surprising. The second time was actually an interview with the lady, and she suffered serious damage. I mean, that's like we're laughing about it, but she did get pretty hurt, and that's
so did Casper.
Well, and that's the thing. So during the interview, she says like, yeah, he was on me, and That's what I feel bad laughing. But she's like, God provides a way, and those testicles are just in my face. And so I did. I bit down, and so that's how she that's how she got it off.
I'm sorry. We need to put a PG-13 rating on this.
So that's how she got the camel off her face, and then he.
I must have been out of town.
I don't know how, because I I put both videos on my Facebook page because
I know for a fact if I had read that story with Bill and Jim, Jim would have lost his mind. Bill would have cracked up because Bill, I know exactly what stories will make Bill laugh because it's like the random facts in a story that just crack him up. Like there was the Walmart Angel the other day. They said that I may have even talked about this. They said she had. They didn't know who it was, and they were trying to find her, and they said she had silver hair and a breathing tube.
Great.
And he just
what a little angel. He couldn't get through it.
It's like the weird, little twist facts, and we were
He was fine with silver hair, but the breathing tube got him,
Oh, yeah. It was just like silver hair and a breathing tube, and we were just both laughing. It's really not that funny. It's just a weird combination.
I mean,
it
takes the little things, just to set you up. And that's the thing. Sometimes it's just the one weird little thing. After the first story, I remember we came back out and I told Amber, I said, once she got in there, she bit off. Sounds like they bit off more than they could chew.
Victor.
And Amber just no sold it. She's just like, oh, okay, on to the next one.
Oh my gosh, soldier on.
And then with Barb, it came back out. Barb was the one who had to read it.
Now I bet she was laughing too.
Yeah, she was, and
See, Barb will egg Bill on.
Well, that's the thing, and so then I was like, wow, Barb, that story's a mouthful. And she gave me the reaction I was looking for, and then she's like, okay.
So inappropriate.
But so that was one of my favorite things of the year, Casper the Camel. And actually, the first time I told Amber, I was like, don't read the story ahead of time, so she had no idea what was coming up. And so that was the other thing. I told her, I was like, don't read this. So she did, and she's like, all right, no problem. And so Chris Bailey actually got video of she was supposed to. I started off reading it, and she's supposed to read the second half. She couldn't because she was laughing so hard.
So you had to keep reading.
So I just had to take over.
Gosh.
And so then it was so. But and then my wife's cousin, I guess her cousin-in-law. Anyway,
Lord, honey, my wife's second cousin, twice removed on her granddaddy's side.
So her cousin's husband, whenever we saw them at Thanksgiving, he sent me a picture. He's like, look. I went to see Casper. He was driving through.
You're lying.
And so he stopped and got a picture with Casper the camel.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Speaking of reading things cold, I listened to an Oprah podcast recently, and she was talking about back when she was a news anchor, and she said she used to purposely read all of her stories cold so that she would have a genuine reaction and learn things, with the audience. So she said that she thought that provided more of a connection with the audience, which... in theory, I totally understand that. I get what she's saying.
You're getting it at the same time, yeah.
But it's dangerous as well. Because then I said Canada instead of Canada. So I got in trouble and had to start reading my scripts. I was like, oh, I've been there. I said quesadilla one time. It's like you're just reading phonetically, and I said quesadilla. But I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to live that down. And just kept going. But I think that's kind of
Dynamite. Get that quesadilla. So that's...
kind of get you a quesadilla.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things.
No, I said a double dilla.
A double dilla. Oh, wow.
It was a double quesadilla of some kind. I said a double dilla.
So, yeah, if you want to see the videos of Casper the Camel, you can check out my Facebook page. Click on videos, and I'm sure they'll both be there.
The unsung hero.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't a hero.
Yeah, no, he was kind of ornery.
He was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Ornery.
So there we go. That's
wow, what a way to end it, Victor.
Our top 10 of 2019. What a good year. Looking forward to 2020.
Any resolutions?
Oh no, I don't have a single one.
Me neither.
I do have a favorite thing that it was kind of a companion piece to last week's podcast. Benito Cereno was on here talking about Christmas around the world and different things. And there's he shared another podcast that he was on called Changed My Mind.
Ooh.
And he did an episode where he was a guest where he talked about growing up. He grew up in, I guess his family did not like Santa Claus, and they said that was not, part of the tradition and not something that they should take part in. And he talks about how that developed and how he eventually learned to love Santa Claus.
Aww.
And so, yeah, and I haven't listened to the rest of the podcast, but I'm going to start. It seems interesting. It's people who have essentially changed their mind from one thing to another and how that happened for them. Yeah. Like somebody who from somebody who didn't like Harry Potter to learn to loving Harry Potter. But
You know.
and then somebody who was a chronic dieter to a fat acceptance advocate, or activist. So it's just interesting. It's always interesting to hear how somebody kind of has an open mind.
I respect people who are willing to change their mind because it's not easy.
Here's somebody who went from being a Reaganite to a Marxist.
Whoa.
Two pretty
But
interesting extremes. But it's just interesting to hear people's thought process and how that happened.
Well, I heard an interview where Gayle King was interviewing Michael Bloomberg, and she asked about the whole stop and frisk everything, and it's like he said, I learned from that. Like I learned I was wrong, and I can admit that I was wrong. And he kind of said it takes a big person to know when you've done wrong and admit it, own up to it, and try to make changes. And regardless of your politics, I think that is something you have to respect about somebody.
That's one thing I really hate whenever we cover politics and people are like, "Oh, they've changed their position. They flip-flopped." It's
like that's good. They're evolving.
That's being an adult.
You're not supposed to stay the same your whole life.
Exactly. When somebody says, "I learned new information, and as a result, my opinion on something has changed." Yeah, that's being an adult. Whenever somebody's like, "No, I'm never changing," that's when
I love flip-flops. I love flip-floppers.
Well, I don't love all flip-floppers. Sometimes
respect to some flip-floppers.
There you go. Because there are people who do it. You can tell they're doing it.
Depending on who's showing them the money at the time.
Yeah, they're doing it for political expedience or because they see that you think, well, have you really changed, or have you just told the society's thinking a different way, and as a result, you're trying to get what gets the most votes. Well, but there are sometimes
flip-floppers. I appreciate
somebody who just says, hey, I've changed my mind on this. That doesn't bother me the way it seems to a lot of people. So.
I like that. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
The Changed My Mind episode 11 with Benito Cereno. It was interesting just to hear how.
By the way, if you haven't already, start listening to Dolly Parton's America, people.
I haven't yet, but it's on. It's on my list of things to do.
It's so good. I learned a lot about her.
I did speaking of other good podcasts I listened to recently, the Hit Parade podcast, which I've talked about before. I really enjoy. Normally they look back years and years at how songs became number one, but they did one just about last week about how Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You" is number one, and it's a whole kind of history
for the first time.
For the first time ever. Well, and a lot of that has to do with the changes of the way the Billboard chart catalog stuff, and so it started accepting Christmas songs and just different. And it's very interesting to learn about that and the history of Christmas songs, and the Chipmunks album is really weird.
Oh gosh,
but. Yeah, so it's the latest Hit Parade episode all about Mariah Carey's song.
They were talking about that on another podcast, and they said part of it is that people, Mariah Carey's kind of controversial, and it's like people have become more endeared to her because of all her memes. She's so memeable. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know her. Talking about like Jennifer Lopez or something. Like, oh, you don't know J-Lo? What? Like, she's just become so quotable and like memeable that I think people kind of like her again. She's had a little resurgence.
There you go. So there's a couple other podcasts to check out. Andrea, anything you'd like to say before we finish up the year, before we finish up 2019?
Let's hope 2020's a good one, people.
Yeah, let's hope so. And, let's go out and be kind to each other.
Oh.
Bye everybody.
Bye.